I've been holding off making this video for a long time, and that's mainly due to watching my fellow YouTubers iCUE link videos and quite honestly hearing a lot of misinformation and not a lot of time spent using the products or building with them at all. I guess I was just disappointed, so I wanted to share with you guys my experience, my water cooling experience building a custom PC that I've now been using for 3 months. And I want to make things extremely clear, if you are planning on building a simple system like an AIO cooled build, then these products are going to be perfect for you. However, we don't really do simple builds here. This is a dual loop system, and I want to share with you my experiences before you go out and purchase the iCUE Link products for yourself. So Corsair's new iCUE Link is designed to link every single product together into one smart ecosystem. This also reduces cable clutter significantly. You can actually control up to 14 devices, so one fan would be one device, using this hub, and it's 7 per channel, so there's 2 channels on one hub. Now, all components contain microcontrollers for two-way communication, so you can actually get detailed system information in the Corsair iCUE Link software. For example, each fan contains a temperature sensor, so you can actually get detailed temperature monitoring at certain parts in the build. So let's start with the fans, and to be clear, I'm not here to do a detailed review on the fans. I just want to touch on the iCUE Link side of things. These are some of the most expensive fans on the market, $139.99 US for a set of 3. And that is on a discount at the moment. However, they do have loads of smart features, so it's up to you whether that's worth it or not. You can expect 480 to 2,400 RPM, built-in temperature sensors, a 0 RPM mode, and exclusive lighting modes thanks to Corsair's iCUE Link. The fans come with a 600mm and a 200mm cable, and they also come with the system hub. It is also worth noting that if you wanted to buy an individual fan, you can expect to pay $50 US. Now, these fans don't actually come with a cable either, so you can't actually use them unless you buy a cable as well, or you've already got the set of 3 and the hub already. So you'd have to spend even more money for a cable, and I think this is wrong. Now, the system hub is actually powered by a 6-pin PCIe cable. Now, when you are powering this, make sure it's not the same power cable that is plugged into the GPU. It is not recommended and could lead to some system shutdowns. This controller is capable of pulling 175 watts. Now, you're never going to be using 175 watts to power some LEDs and a pump, but it's part of Corsair's future expansion of the iCUE Link series, and so they want to make sure that it's got plenty of juice. The hub is also magnetized, so there's no more need for double-sided tape. And it's also got a much smaller profile than the old Commander Core XT or Corsair Commander Pro. And let's face it, way less cables. And with the two-way communication between the components and Corsair's iCUE software, it is able to detect exactly what component it is, so it's essentially plug and play. The fan's connections are some of the best that I have personally used, and it has a magnetic pull with these small tabs which simply connect together. There is an input and output tab on both sides of the fans, and you can plug the cables in on whatever side you want, whichever way you want. You could get a 90-degree or a straight cable as well. A 90-degree cable was actually required for me to use the second reservoir in the build. The fan's also very rigid, so you really don't need to use all of the screws as well when you're screwing it in. On that note though, I don't feel like a lot of thought was put into these fans when it comes to custom water cooling. I had a lot of trouble with this build, and that would have all been solved if the power connectors were put in a better spot. Up the top here, the out port or the outlet of Corsair's radiators collides with the power tab, so I can't actually extend this iCUE Link run here to power this fan. It has to be on a separate line. Now let's talk about the CPU block. The CPU block is good quality, and you can display different system information on the built-in LCD screen. It comes with pre-applied thermal paste, which makes it really user-friendly, and it's compatible with Intel and AMD's latest sockets. I was unable to have my PC functioning fully for PAX Australia because of the CPU block. I had to make a sacrifice to keep my front I/O unplugged because the CPU block required its own USB header. And the system hub also requires a USB header. The CPU block does not actually connect to the system hub, and most motherboards only have like 2 USB headers. That means my front I/O was useless. So I had to make the decision to actually swap out the LCD CPU block and put in a non-LCD one, This one now connects to the system hub, and that freed up a USB port on the motherboard for me to add in a second system hub, but that still means that I still have no front I/O, and the CPU block only has an in port, it has no outlet, so that is the end of a channel. Now the CPU block also doesn't come with a system hub, so if you wanted to use this just by itself because you like the look of it, well, you'll have no functioning RGB. So if you want RGB, you have to spend money on another system hub. Now the CPU block was able to keep my i7-13700 CPU at reasonable temperatures during gameplay. But during Cinebench runs, I was thermal throttling. Now again, Cinebench is designed to push the CPU to its limits, so it's not really a real world scenario, but it gives a good baseline for you to test your CPU block against what this one was able to achieve. Now these CPU blocks are very expensive, especially against the competition at $189.99, and that is a discounted price. But most CPU blocks out there do not have the intelligence that this block has. Moving on to the GPU cooler, and this is where I feel things get a little bit sideways for Corsair. I love the idea of the XG3 being an almost universal water block and also hybrid, so you don't necessarily need water cooling. It's just lacking in cooling, especially for those higher end cards. Major components are not being cooled. I and many others from our previous video dislike the look of this block. To me, it feels and looks cheap. You also don't have the ability to expand your iCUE Link hardware off of this block. It only has an in port. So this is the end of another channel. You see where I'm heading with the end of a channel and we only have 2 channels available? From a new PC builder perspective, I get the appeal. Almost universal, plug and play, pre-applied paste. And if you lost your original cooler, you can actually use this because it's universal. This cooler does come in at much cheaper than the competition. The only downside is, to utilize all of the features of this cooler, you would need to purchase another system hub for $60 or a set of fans that come with the system hub to utilize its features. So if you're just after an individual water block, then you may as well go for this Biski block, which comes in at cheaper and it has more cooling and it's a full cover water block. The iCUE Link XT5 was also another problem area for us. And to be clear, I'm not saying that these are a bad product. They will work perfectly in simple builds. The problem is we don't do simple builds. We went for a dual loop, which means 2 XT5s. Now these are currently on discount for $198. And to be honest, I'd actually like to see their proper price at $198. I just think it's more competitive in the market. And just like our GPU water block, the XT5 is actually not functional without an iCUE Link hub. So if you want this individually, then expect to pay another $60. I'd love to see like a removable SATA power or something on these so that users can purchase them individually. Now functionally, these are amazing. It has a D5 pump, temperature and flow sensor, so you can fine tune everything in Corsair's iCUE Link software. Now this is where I ran into trouble again. Both XT5s only have an input and no output for power. I'm already down 4 channels, so now I need to spend more money for 2 Y-splitter cables, and it's just $20 for one of them, which I think is ridiculous, or I need to get a 4-way splitter. Now throughout the build, I wasn't happy with the cable length of some of the included cables, majority being 600mm in length. Now this is just personal preference, and I get that Corsair is providing the 600mm cables to cover every use-based scenario, but if I wanted to get some shorter cables and enough to cover this whole build, I have to get this cable kit, and this is $50, which I think is just insane for some cables. So here I am with the build fully together. I have 4 components, which are designed to be the end of a channel with no out port, and another set of fans which cannot connect to the rear fan due to the outlet of the radiator. The 4-way splitter has definitely saved us here, but I feel like it's something I shouldn't have to spend money on. Let's take a look at the iCUE Link software and the extra features that we can play around with. The first feature I love uses iCUE Link's intelligence to read the fan speed and create a lighting feedback that makes it look as if the fan is not spinning. This is called time warp. I think it looks absolutely amazing. We also have the ability to set up alerts and emergency shutdown with our iCUE Link products. I can set up a specific temperature and then choose a period of time until it will shut down. We also have the ability to monitor RPM in real time with all of our iCUE Link products. This gives us the ability to set up profiles and watch temperature at the fan's installed location in real time, so intake temperature, exhaust temperature, to give us best performance and noise levels for our ideal situations. You can see, because I've gone to 0 RPM here, the temperature is rising in this section. I enable RPM and then the temperature drops drastically. That is my feedback based off my custom dual loop water-cooled build. My feedback would have been much different if I was just doing a basic all-in-one cooled build. So I don't want people to think that these are bad products, because I love the idea and the implementation. I just think that what I do requires a little more thought from Corsair's end, even though we are such a small niche. I will say that I do think that the Corsair iCUE Link products are expensive, no matter if you are doing a simple build or something a little more extravagant. I don't feel right paying more for fans than I would for my CPU. However, if you do want the ultimate experience, customization, and information that is all linked as one in the Corsair iCUE Link system software, then this would be perfect for you. Thanks for watching.